But I would love for you to share either a story, it could be one story or two stories or more, whatever you feel like, of something that you consider to be magical or miraculous or even mysterious, something that happened in your life. I'd love for you to share it for my listeners.
Oh, just a few. I mean, I wake up every morning and it takes me a few minutes to come back into Daniel. It's like teleporting back in. And every time I do, it's a bit of a miracle that I'm back. And I don't know if everyone takes as long as I do to come back to their surroundings. And so I do think that the only way to live is to recognize that every single moment is absolutely a miracle in and of itself. And I guess one aspect of my life where it really dawned on me and the orchestra and the symphony behind life is taking a look at a zebrafish embryo go through the process of becoming different tissue layers, those tissue layers now folding in on themselves to become organs, those organs now connecting together through the blood, and you can see it. It's not you see it under a microscope. It's happening live in front of you. And now you're tasked as a biologist to try and learn anything about that. And you're like, wow, thank God it's so complicated because all of us got jobs now. There's, there's so much going on, and there's such a weird recycling of information. So we were talking about the eyes earlier. Retinoic acid, which is a molecule, which is a derivative of vitamin A. So we take vitamin A, we chop it up, we end up with retinol. You take retinol, you activate it, it becomes retinoic acid. Now that retinoic acid is paramount in how the developing embryo is able to signal so that the proper organ gets developed, and in this case, the eye. So if you inhibit it, it doesn't happen. But in the adults, the retinoic acid doesn't do anything like that. It's still present, but what it now does is it deals with the stem cells around your blood vessels, and it deals with vision, full-on vision. You need it for vision. You also need it to control your immune system and to control the way you produce collagen. So there's a recycling process that starts happening and reusing of it within the adult from the small creature. And you end up seeing that other creatures that are super distinct from you, like a hydra at the bottom of the ocean, it too will use it, but it won't use it in the same exact regard, but it might still use it in a light sensitive regard. So it's almost as if there is these, call it Lego blocks of life that are thrown out that you can use them a little bit differently here or there, but they may have a really highlight in a particular area where if they can be used, they will be used within that presence. And so the structure of how creatures exist here, it seems almost impossible to go from one to the other. As a biologist who's gone through the call it genetic play of can you now take something and give it another segment, for example, an insect, give it another, instead of having three segments, give it four. What happens if when that occurs? These body plans they're very much so ingeniously, designed. There is a design from the genetics that comes out of it. And to me, I see that as this infinite play of, the grand cosmos. And to me, that's been a, uh, I guess, an insight into, what we're doing here as human beings, because you have the ability to fiddle like no other creature before. And so, the idea that, bad things are done in the name of science is kind of a misdirect. There was no guy named Science doing bad things. It was the callous and disrespect for life from human beings that does that. And it only gets us now as I think we get to a point where more human beings connect to say, no, this is the rules that we're going to follow. That we will have respect for some experiments are not to be done. You don't need to go down that route. That's just needless suffering or needless exploitation. And to me, that part is, I think, also something that's very, you don't know when you study something, let's put it this way, of how it's going to translate into a grand scheme of things. And so best to stay curious in order, I think, to contribute or participate in life, where who knows, maybe that small little, insect you're interested in, or it doesn't matter. Music, whether it's connecting with the family, how that's going to have a big reach for the rest of us. And so, me personally, with my miracles where I've seen them happen is really with my health. I had a lot of health problems. Obviously, this is why I gravitated towards this field too. And I had asthma as a kid. I had a lot of gastric problems, and all of them resolved in ways in which I didn't think was going to come about. And it was the more that um, I guess, trusted that in myself, believed in myself, that I would find it, that the answers came to me. They came to me in ways in which you didn't initially think they were going to come from which avenue. Um, so that's the thing I have to most be thankful for. But I guess the zebrafish was the coolest one to be able to really pinpoint the complexity of life.